The Pittsburgh Steelers back in the win column. Big win today against the Cincinnati Bengals. The final. Pittsburgh takes care of business 44-38. Welcome into the Bleav in Steelers show. I'm your host, Mark Bergin. Going to share my thoughts from today's game against the Cincinnati Bengals. And we'll get to what Yinz think, as always, where people weigh in with their comments. You can also call the show as well. But first things first, today's episode of Bleav in Steelers is brought to you by BetOnline.ag. And if you want to place a bet on any of the NFL action all season long, BetOnline.ag will take care of you. There's NFL, NBA, NHL, anything you want to bet on from the sports world, BetOnline.ag is the place to do it. Head over to BetOnline.ag to get started today. BetOnline, the game starts here. Steelers show that they can win in a shootout. This is something we haven't seen for years. Styles of victory in winning in a multitude of different ways. And Russell Wilson played his best game as a Pittsburgh Steeler today. And particularly, you can win in a shootout with him at the quarterback position. Russell Wilson throws for a season high 414 yards. He had 3 touchdown passes as well, 29 of 38. And pretty much every receiver caught a ball other than Mike Williams, in all honesty, today for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This offense I thought was terrific. I know that the Cincinnati defense coming in, that was the big criticism, but you can finally win in a different style of play versus to muck it up, to make it a one-score game, win the turnover battle, win time of possession. You were down in this game. You had to put up a multitude of points against this high-flying Cincinnati offense, and you answered the call time and time and time again. And the Steelers went into halftime 27-21. And Russell Wilson today I thought was absolutely terrific. Just moving the ball, scoring, punching it in the red zone as well, which has been a big problem for the Steelers offense. Where between the 20s, they've been pretty good this year, but they put it all together today. And with that extra preparation coming off playing last week on Thursday Night Football, they took care of business. They get back in the win column. And now Mike Tomlin in year 18, his 18th season, folks, where he's not going to have a non-losing season. The Steelers are now 9-3 after today's win. How many other teams would love to have Mike Tomlin as their head coach? And you see what he can do with competent quarterback play. You see what he can do. And you're atop the AFC North for another week, and you're going to get a second crack at Cleveland next weekend in Week 13. So that's the stakes for the Steelers. I thought they played outstanding football today from an offensive standpoint. Before we move to the defensive side of the ball, the elephant in the room that we got to address, George Pickens, who's by far the Steelers' best offensive skill position players. Figure it out, dude. Figure out from the point of we can't have penalties that of you taunting or holding up a gun signal to the crowd or you dropping the ball on another player to where it's detrimental to the team. And the Steelers can't bench George Pickens because they need him. Even if he doesn't get the football, the attention that he garners as even a decoy and the attention that he has of, hey, you got to put a safety over the top and bracket him because he's that special of a player. Channel that energy in a way that's in a productive manner for the team. And these penalties that are self-imposed, be mentally smarter. And I get that that's the type of player that he is and the fire that he plays with, but that has to be channeled in a way that is productive for the team. In 2 penalties today, it's not acceptable because it might not cost you against Cincinnati, a team that's lost 4 of its last 5 games and that's not going to make the playoffs this year. But it will against a bigger and better and more elite opponent. This was a kitchen sink game today for the Cincinnati Bengals, where if Cincinnati had any shot of trying to make the playoffs today, it was going to be today. And the Steelers rally and overcome an early deficit, and they take care of business, go up 2 scores in the second half, and they win today 44-38. A lot of points put up for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this was the highest scoring matchup. It was the highest scoring matchup in the first half that we've seen in the history of this series. And Russell Wilson was terrific. Just his 400-yard game is the second most passing yards he's thrown in his career. He threw for 452 yards against the Houston Texans in October of 2017. Russell Wilson, outside of the pick six early, was incredible. And I know that you might say, well, Mark, on that pick six, the reason why Pickens was mad in the first place is the cornerback threw him to the ground by the helmet. I thought it was an illegal play. They brought Gene Steratore on the broadcast on. He thought it was an illegal play. There's no doubt about that. Credit Mike Tomlin for pulling his receiver aside saying, hey, dude, we're going to need you for other points in this game. And they did. Pickens scored a touchdown today, and this offense was absolutely rolling. Again, offensively, this is the best Steelers game I've watched in years. 26 rushes, 110 yards on the ground, had a touchdown led by Najee Harris, 16 carries for 75 yards today. Pickens, 3 catches through the air, 74 yards. He had the touchdown in the first half. Pat Freiermuth, 6 catches, 68 yards. He had a touchdown as well. Jaylen Warren in the backfield, 4 catches for 55 yards. Najee Harris, 6 catches for 54 yards. Van Jefferson had a 43-yard reception. 37 yards for Cordero Patterson receiving, 2 catches, 29 yards for Calvin Austin III, who left the game with an injury. We'll keep an eye on that. Calvin Austin III also scoring a touchdown in today's game. But pretty much every receiver caught a ball today, with the exception of Mike Williams. I'd like to see him get into the mix a little bit more. I know he was out there today. But really, the only other skill position player that didn't catch a pass was Connor Hayward. But those are the things I noticed just looking at the box score today. Team stats as well. Steelers, they had, get this, 520 yards of offense today. Wow. And it was a great offense. But again, remember, outside of Trey Hendrickson, this is a Cincinnati Bengals defense that's really struggled. In the first half, the Steelers had 310 yards of offense in the first half. So moving the ball like we haven't seen in years in Pittsburgh. Steelers win time of possession, had the ball for 31 minutes today. 9 penalties, 103 yards of penalties for the Steelers, 11 penalties for the Bengals, 101 yards. You'd like to see that get shored up a bit for Pittsburgh. But just looking at these totals, a lot to be encouraged by. Boswell knocked a few through. He had one blocked as well. The turnover battle as well. Steelers win that 3-1. So that's been the recipe all season long, is win time of possession and win the turnover battle. And they do that today against Joe Burrow, who in my opinion is the second best quarterback in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes. I know a lot of people point to Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. When it counts, I want Joe Burrow on my team. And this Bengals offense is really special. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Brown, the running back, I thought got loose a little bit too much against the Steelers defense, but they do enough today. Turn it over. TJ Watt with the strip sack. He finally emerged again after being a little bit quiet the last week or two. How about Nick Herbig off the edge too? The forced fumble against Burrow, and then Payton Wilson scoop and score. How special has he been? The rookie, the linebacker out of NC State. He's really immersed himself with this team, and what a draft pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It looks like he's been really, really good for Pittsburgh. I know he had the interception the other week against Baltimore, but he gets into the mix and gets a scoop and score touchdown, utilizing that speed that we saw coming into the league. That's Payton Wilson. He's been really, really good for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. So those are a lot of the things that I noticed in today's game. Again, defensively, you want to see more, but that was what Cincinnati's MO was coming into this game. High-flying offense and a defense that left a lot to be desired. And that's really how this game shook out, but the Steelers able to win with the different styles of play. Think about, when was the last time that you could say that about a Pittsburgh Steelers team when we're talking about styles of play and winning in different styles of play, and not just, hey, we're going to eke it out in a one-score game and muck up the game. Today was a shootout, and Pittsburgh got it done. So those were my thoughts of Pittsburgh's performance today. Again, I thought Russell Wilson was outstanding. I thought it was his best game as a Pittsburgh Steeler, because I know on paper you'll see the pick six. I don't fault George Pickens on that play either. I thought the referee should have called a flag. They don't, but the Steelers how they responded from that pick six early in the game, to me, is what really sticks out. And the fact that they rallied back to get a lead before halftime, I think speaks volumes, because I think it was the next 5 drives. They scored 3 straight touchdowns. They have to settle for 2 other field goals on those other 2 drives, but they score on 5 consecutive drives after the pick six. What a great way to respond for this offense. And then again, kudos to Mike Tomlin and company, because in year 18, how many other teams would love to have a coach like Mike Tomlin? We're awfully lucky in Pittsburgh. Hopefully you can keep this rolling now that you're into the back half of the season on into the postseason. But the Steelers get the 9th win today. They improve to 9-3 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's get to what Yinz think. This is where people weigh in with their comments, and I'll do my best to get to a lot of them. If you have questions about today's game, drop them in the chat. You can financially support Bleav in Steelers if you want to leave a super chat. And also, if you want to call into the show, that link is pinned in the YouTube chat. So you can call into the show if you want to add your 2 cents worth here on the Bleav in Steelers post-game show. Let's get to Chad. Chad, a regular listener and viewer, saying, Harris being out early, I think, opened up the offense, even though Harris played really well. I don't know what was happening on that drive where they went to him. Oh, gosh, was it 3, 4, 5 times in a row? And he kind of was just on the sideline. I don't know if he was gassed. I don't really know what was going on there, but I thought he ran hard. He's going north and south, and he's in a contract season. Last few weeks, Najee's been really bottled up, and you've seen that the last 2 weeks. Going into those games, he had 3 consecutive games of 100-plus yards rushing. But if you look at Najee Harris's statistical output today, 75 yards on the ground and then 54 yards catching the ball out of the backfield. I thought Najee was really good today. I thought he was really, really good today, a chain mover and just able to move the football. I thought that was a really good game for Najee Harris, and he got into the end zone as well. He had it was a rushing touchdown. It was a rushing touchdown he scored today. Chad, thank you for weighing in. Thank you for the comment. Autumn, regular listener and viewer, saying we had over 500 yards of offense. It was awesome. I mean, it was just awesome to see 44 points. I'm proud of them today. Yeah. The last time the Steelers scored this many points, I mean, it's been years. And honestly, it kind of takes you back to when the Killer Bees were doing their thing, Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown. I haven't seen a Steelers offense like this. I started hosting Bleav in Steelers in 2019. I haven't seen statistical offensive output quite like this in my time covering the Steelers. So that predates to when I really started covering and watching Pittsburgh Steelers football, of how you've seen this offense really take off and go to the next level, led by Russell Wilson and company. And hats off to Arthur Smith and what this offense has done, because a lot of the problems that plagued you with previous offensive coordinators, most recently Matt Canada, Steelers have really figured that out, and what they can do with even competent quarterback play. I think you could argue today that Russell Wilson outdueled Joe Burrow. For as much respect as I have for Joe Burrow, Burrow was 28 of 38, 309 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns and an interception. Remember, he had the interception and then the strip sack fumble as well. So he had 2 fumbles lost, actually, too. So again, the Steelers win the turnover battle. And, at that point in the game, you're chasing a 2-score lead if you're Cincinnati. So hats off to the Steelers defense there. But Russell Wilson has just really unlocked this Steelers offense. It's the connection with George Pickens. It's throwing the ball down the field. It's knowing when to check it down. He always seems to anticipate what the defense is doing and where to get the ball in space for his offensive skill position players to make plays. And it's been really remarkable to watch. Russell Wilson, I think, has been outstanding for the Steelers by and large this season. Autumn, thank you for checking in. Steelers Nation checking in, saying this offense went from ranked from 29th and 30th the last 5 years. We are ranked 15th in most scoring points, even better than the Chiefs. We are consistent. We are due for a playoff win. Different QB helped a lot. Yeah. And I think that's the main thing is you watch today's game and you've watched this season, and it's like, will this lead to postseason success in January? You haven't won a playoff game since January of 2017. So as excited as we are about all of this, what this means for the postseason, because the last several times the Steelers have gone to the playoffs, they haven't performed well. What I point to that, particularly in the AFC, is the other quarterbacks you're going up against and the quarterbacks you've had on the offensive side of the ball if you're the Steelers. The end of Ben Roethlisberger. You had Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges for a year. You went with Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph. Well, now you've got a guy who's been a 9-time Pro Bowler, a guy who's won a Super Bowl, should have won 2 Super Bowls in Russell Wilson, a guy who's done it before. And I see no reason why they can't get it done on the back half of this season. What's been really remarkable to watch, and you see the offense take a step, and even if the defense loses, say, a half step, what that can mean for this Pittsburgh Steelers team. And right now, I said this before, and I'll say this again, I do expect the Steelers to win a playoff game this year with the way that they're playing right now. And that's really going to be the big thing, because once you get into the postseason, anything can happen. But I really, just from what I've seen and what I've seen this offense do, they can hang with other teams. They can rally back from deficits. They've demonstrated that multiple times now. Now, I want to see that defense shore up. It's a concern that I have, no doubt about that. But you knew that this Cincinnati offense was a high-powered offense. I mean, Joe Burrow is a special player. Jamar Chase is a special player. T. Higgins. I thought Joey Porter Jr. had a rough go at times today. But again, able to do enough, and you're able to take away the football when Cincinnati's moving the ball. That was really the big difference in today's game, because your offense was matching Cincinnati's offense today. And again, I haven't seen that for years when watching Pittsburgh Steelers football. Autumn saying, I hope we beat the brakes off the Browns next week. Going to be a big game. Going to be a big game, another division matchup, and hopefully that sour taste of defeat from Thursday night in Cleveland, hopefully the Steelers can keep that on the forefront of their mind. Another AFC North matchup here in this coming week. Steelers Nation 412 checking in saying this. That interception wasn't really Russ's fault. I totally agree. I don't think it was George Pickens' fault either. Call the flag. Russell Wilson was asking for it. George Pickens was asking for it. I think that's kind of what set Pickens off a little bit in this game. But, next play and how you respond to that. So the pick six at the start of the game, I don't put on either of those players. You can't rip a player down by the helmet legally, but the refs missed it. Cincinnati got away with one, and they got a pick six to open the game, and it doesn't cost them today. Temple saying, if they can pull out all 3 phases together for 4 quarters, watch out. Yep. Because it's right there, and Boswell was really good even today. I know he had one blocked, but man, I mean, this is a special team right now. Temple, thank you for checking in. I'm with you. I want to see a more decisive, dominant win, but it's tough to do that in this division. The division matchups, I almost throw out the records because the two franchises know each other and what they like to do so well. A lot of the same personnel year to year, a lot of the same coaches and coordinators year to year. Those division matchups are a little bit different than your just run-of-the-mill regular season game against a random opponent. Temple, thanks for checking in. Steelers Nation 412 also saying nearly almost put up 50 points. The last time we did that was 2018 on Thursday Night Football against the Panthers at Heinz Field. Thank you for that stat. And yeah, it's I haven't seen the Steelers offense do this in a long, long time. I got one more comment on what Yinz thinks coming from Temple again, saying, nice to go into the first episode of Hard Knocks with the win. HBO's Hard Knocks will feature the Pittsburgh Steelers and the rest of the AFC North, and that premieres on Tuesday. So be keeping an eye out on that as the Steelers get back in the win column, and they improved to 9-3 today after the big win against the Cincinnati Bengals. And again, the big takeaways I have is this. You can win with different styles of play. Today it was a shootout. Some games it might be a low scoring affair. Whoever wins turnovers, whoever wins line of scrimmage, whoever wins the time of possession battle. So different styles of play. And then I thought it was Russell Wilson's best game as a Pittsburgh Steeler. What an offensive output for this football team today. Those are my 2 big takeaways. And then you win the turnover battle. The defense didn't play perfect today, but they got it done when they needed to, and they made plays when they needed to against a high-powered offense in Cincinnati. Those are my takeaways from today's game. This has been the Bleav in Steelers post-game show. We'll be back this coming week to get you ready for the Steelers when they host the Cleveland Browns. in this coming week. It's going to be another Sunday afternoon game, so keep it here on Bleav in Steelers. We'll also have some reaction of some sort from HBO's Hard Knocks. Really excited to see the Steelers among the teams featured on the in-season version of Hard Knocks. Going to be really exciting to watch, to see what assets and facets of the Pittsburgh Steelers that they show on the HBO programming. That's going to be really, really exciting. It's like the Steelers have never been on Hard Knocks because Mike Tomlin, 18 seasons now where he doesn't have a sub 500 season. Steelers don't lose enough to actually put the Steelers on Hard Knocks, because remember, there's criteria for the preseason and training camp, and you have to have a losing record going into the year to be on Hard Knocks. The Steelers are never in that position to be able to do that. They're never 21 straight seasons of non-losing football, 18 of them coming from Mike Tomlin. So that 21 straight ties an NFL record today. Ties an NFL record, tied with the Dallas Cowboys, who did that from 1965 through 1985. So the Steelers making history today in the win against the Cincinnati Bengals. My name is Mark Bergin. Hope all of you enjoy the rest of your weekends. And Steelers victorious final 44-38 against Cincinnati. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care and so long, everybody.